What is going on, guys? Christian from the Land Prey MMA podcast, joined as always by Trenton. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
All right. And hopefully Jeffrey is going to join us as soon as he's available. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. We're going to be posting more episodes. I'm hoping to do 2 episodes a week, just so that way we're staying a little bit more consistent, because we took a long break just a couple weeks ago, over the last few weeks. And then if you're listening to us on podcast platform, thank you so much. And make sure to check out our YouTube. Also, we have a Facebook page, which is Land Prey MMA Podcast. So check that out as well. Good fights last night. I was thoroughly impressed with the card as a whole. So what do you think?
Yeah, the entire card from when I actually got on to watch was, I think the Dan Hooker fight was where I started, because that's where we made our predictions. I actually watched a few before that, but it was on my phone and I was eating dinner.
Yeah.
We went out to a restaurant, so I was kind of like off to the side, not really watching it, but like just had it on in the background, you know. So I wasn't paying attention too much before that, but the fights that I did watch were pretty damn good. Everything was entertaining. I mean, as soon as the time came and it started going around to, like, you know, the Diaz fight and to, you know, the basically the last 3 fights were pretty what
pretty
you'd
exciting.
expect. Exciting. I mean, the most boring out of the 3 was probably the Valentina Shevchenko fight,
Lauren Murphy fight,
and Lauren Murphy. And to be honest, it still wasn't a bad fight. It just
wasn't as exciting as
it's not as exciting because it's also one of those things where she's so far ahead of everybody else that it's not even close.
No, it's like not even over. It's kind of like
it's
kind of like what it was like for Ronda Rousey. It was kind of like what it's like for Amanda Nunes right now.
Mm-hmm. So, it's hard to like, as good as Valentina is, she's too good.
Yeah.
Like, the fights aren't that entertaining because she's so like so much better than everybody else that you're not even like expecting a miracle to happen. You're just like, oh, okay, well, this is where she picks her apart until they can't fucking hang anymore, and then she picks up the pace and shuts them all down. You know what I mean? Another finish for her. Good for her, but it's almost not that entertaining to watch anymore because it's so dominant. Like, and it's just wild. How much better she is than everybody else.
I think for me, the most surprising thing was that it took 4 rounds. Like, and that's not discrediting Lauren Murphy. Like, I mean, we'll deep dive more into
tough, man.
Yeah, we'll deep dive more once we get into that fight. But for me, it was like, with as dominant as Valentina was, and she landed that same combination, that overhand right with the left hook. She landed that probably 8 or 9 times, you know, solid. And I was like, that's gonna be what puts her away. That's what's gonna end the fight. She's gonna get caught, and it's gonna drop her, and one
of them's gonna be right on the button,
and she's gonna go out. And I thought that was gonna happen within the first 2 rounds, but I mean, she withstood and, you know, went into the 4th round and deep into the 4th. So,
I mean, credit to Lauren Murphy, dude. She's a savage in her own right, dude. You know, I mean, that's another thing is with these fights, you really got to see some of these people's toughness. You know what I mean? Like, Lauren Murphy, she was getting outclassed for 4 rounds and held on as long as she could. You know what I mean? Respect to her. She's still up there, you know, and who knows? I mean, maybe after, you know, we always talk about getting that rub off from the champion, you know, like maybe she improves her game after this. We'll see.
The thing is she's 38. That's the biggest issue, I know. I think.
This was probably her one shot.
Yeah.
But I mean, you never know, man.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, she could run off. She could reel off. Seriously. She could reel off a few. I mean, Glover Teixeira still, you know, he's still trucking, and Jan won the title at 30, 37, 38. So, all right. Well, I guess let's just hop into the Hooker and Haqparast fight. It was a unanimous decision win for Dan, 50-47, 50-47, and then 50-46. One of the judges had a 10-8 round. I mean, I didn't really think it was anything dominant enough to be a 10-8, but at the same time, it was a good fight. And the biggest thing was Nasrat is just young. He's still young. There's no telling what was going on in his mind, dealing with visa issues, dealing with his mother passing away. So that could have been, the fuel to his fire, or it could have been a distraction. Either way, both guys had their issues with their visas. They got there the day before weigh-ins. They both made weight. Kudos to them, because that's fucking hard, traveling and still making weight.
Yeah, and before this, we said we would have forgave them for
if they didn't make weight, or if they would have agreed on a catch weight or something, like 165 or something. And then this is where I think in this fight we got to see, the guys that Dan Hooker has fought. It goes to show that he's just that next level above Nasrat. So he's been in there with some of the best in the division. I think the guy who's going to be the next champ, he went 5 hard rounds in a close fight with Dustin Poirier. And I think Dustin's the best lightweight in the division, or the best lightweight in the world, not just the division, but in the world. I feel like. So, it was a phenomenal fight, and Dan called out Beneil Dariush after the fight. And we talked before we started the episode that I think that's really the only fight for him to take right now, unless he wants to wait or Beneil waits. But I think that's a good fight for both of those guys.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good fight. I mean, like we were saying, Beneil, it's going to be tough for him to find a fight right now, because everybody else is kind of scheduled out.
He's like that fifth guy in the top 4 that's just on the outside waiting.
So, I mean, it's either you wait for somebody to lose, or you take this fight and see what happens. Because if you come in here at Beneil and you take that fight and you get the win, I mean, you're next in line. You got to be, because I mean, that's the only next fight after that. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, for taking that risk and then accomplishing it. If you do, it's got to be the next in line for the belt. After, of course, the Dustin and probably the winner of the Gaethje and Chandler fight after that, because I'm sure that's the number 1 contender fight for after this main event. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, that puts Beneil, third in line. If he wins that, he just gets that shot after the next 2. So that'd probably be the smartest move for him to do. I think the fight was good. I don't think I remember anything seeing around it should have been 10-8, but
the biggest thing was just
judges were handing out 10-8s like it was.
I know, like fucking candy
this time. So
before they wouldn't give them. Now they're just handing them away willy-nilly.
I mean, there's got to be a happy medium in there, because I've seen some rounds that should be 10-8s that aren't, and you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense. And then some rounds that, so there's got to be a happy medium in there. It all just comes down to the education of the fucking judges and what they see. Like, they got to know what they're watching, and I think we're gonna get there eventually. It's just we're still so far away from that right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big takeaway from the fight was that Hooker was able to utilize wrestling, and obviously Nasrat is training out a TriStar, and GSP was in his corner. So is Firas Zahabi, and we already know that GSP was one of the better wrestlers.
Yeah,
in terms of mixed martial arts wrestling, he was one of the best ones ever. So the fact that Dan Hooker was able to get takedowns and was able to maintain control and actually take advantage of those positions was impressive, because I'm sure Nasrat has I'm sure he rolls a lot with GSP.
Yeah.
The headliner of the preliminary card was Marlon Moraes versus Merab. I'm not going to say his last name because I'll just absolutely fucking butcher it, and I don't want to do that. But I think based on, what we've seen from Marlon throughout the last few fights is that he is dangerous as hell in the first round, but the longer it goes, the worse it is for him. Excuse me. So like the reason why I went with Merab in this fight was because he is a European style, like, almost like Dagestani, where it's take you down, go for takedowns after takedowns after takedowns, get takedowns, and then just top pressure and put you away. Well, Marlon ended up catching him in that first round and almost put him away. I mean, I'm sure the ref was very close to calling it.
I mean, they could have stopped it.
I wouldn't have been opposed to them stopping that fight.
No.
But at the same time, I'm glad they didn't, because I picked Merab to win. Because I got all my fight picks right. So I was happy. I was like, okay, sweet. Now it's my turn. I get a undefeated card. But yeah, Merab with he weathered the storm. And then we were talking over Xbox game chat, and I was like, dude, this is the beginning of the end for Marlon, because if he doesn't finish him and if he doesn't put him away early in this fight or early in the second round, then Merab's going to dominate. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's weird because it's his as much as it's his cardio issue, it seems like it's an experience issue too, because he does it over and over again. Like, you should have a little bit more self-control. You hurt the guy, I understand that, but take a second, do it smart, take him out. You know what I mean? Don't bull rush the man and fucking unload everything you got and blow your wad. You know what I mean? Like, he's too experienced to keep doing that. You know what I mean? Like, dude was a champion before this in a different fucking organization and shit like that. And then you come in here and you still have this issue. Like, had he done that smart and just picked his shots and calmed down a little bit, he probably would have finished him. You know what I mean? But he didn't do that.
I feel like he needs to go to 145, because I feel like it's the biggest thing is it's like, yeah, he made weight, but it's still a struggle to suck yourself down so much to get there. And
I think, but I think he's a little guy. Like, yeah, I mean, he's jacked out of his mind.
He's like 5'5" or 5'6".
Yeah, it's like, I guess at 145, some of those dudes are. I mean, I guess the champ's like 5'5" too. So
yeah, I mean, and I think that I think Marlon would have a speed advantage.
Yeah.
But the thing is that he's giving himself 10 more pounds that he doesn't have to suck.
Yeah, but it's also not gonna. I don't know. I mean,
it could just be.
I guess it's one of those things that it's still yet to be seen if it would help his cardio at all.
It's an underlying issue that he has, and the only way that we'll ever find out is if he does go to 145.
Like, is he sucking too much out and it's ruining his performances, or would moving up and carrying that extra weight make him worse cardio wise?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
we'll see.
I guess it's unseen, but I agree with you. I think he should probably move up and see what happens, because at this point, there's got to be a change, or I mean, you're liable to get cut. I mean, he's exciting as shit, but you can only lose so many times.
I don't think he's exciting anymore. That's the thing. I really don't think. I honestly think that he doesn't have the heart to like stick it out when he's tired, and he doesn't have that Brian Ortega or Alexander Volkanovski heart or warrior spirit. He's got the okay, well, I'm getting my ass kicked, and the best thing for me to do is just, instead of trying to survive and win the next round, because he won that first round.
Yeah.
All you got to do is win the last round. It's having the heart to, and obviously it's easy for us to say. I mean, you've fought before, I haven't, but at the same time, I still can, from an outsider's perspective, I could still see that and be like, dude, I mean, look what happened against Henry Cejudo. He was winning the first round, second round, Henry dominated him, and he just kind of gave up.
And so maybe he can find that spirit and fucking motivation to do it, because I mean, the champ at 155 was that guy for a long time.
Yeah.
Charles Oliveira. Every time he got popped, he would quit.
Yeah.
He would quit, and he would take, he'd lay there and take the shots and turtle up, and then that was it. But now look at him. Chandler had him on the fucking ropes at the beginning and beat the shit out of him. And he came back and finished Chandler. So
yeah,
I mean, that one time he really needed to suck it up and be and figure out and show his heart. He did.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure. Yeah, and
I mean, things can change for him, but you can only do it so many times before you have to make a change. You know what I mean? Like
big time.
So,
well, I guess we'll just see what happens. I mean,
I hope they don't cut him or anything like that, because
I don't think they'll cut him because he's got to win pretty recently.
Well, I mean, the Aldo one they didn't.
Yeah, they gave it was, but it's a win. But and everybody that is not a casual knows that he lost. You have anything else to add on that one?
Not really.
Yeah. Kicking off the main card in the flyweight division, Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. This, from the get-go, it was just like I said in our last episode, was that Jessica is way better on the ground. Like, that's the only chance that Cynthia really had, was going to the ground, and I still feel like Jessica would dominate on the ground.
I just think she's too powerful. She's too strong.
Yeah. And she is a beast. Mm-hmm. She's just so strong. She's a stud. She walked her down. She landed those leg kicks, which really started to add up and were really effective. And then she put her in a position where her back's against the cage, and she was able to finish her because she applied the pressure, and she was basically controlling that fight and was saying, I'm not going to let you out. I'm just going to finish it right here and then. And, with 6 seconds left in the fight, or in the first round, she finished it.
Yeah. I mean, Cynthia might be the better wrestler or whatever, but I think there's just a certain level of strength and shit like that to where that stuff kind of gets canceled out. You know what I mean? Like, if you could get a deep double leg or whatever it is that you're going to shoot, but if she could just chuck you off, kind of a fucking problem. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be an elite grappler to be able to stick with somebody that's that fucking much stronger than you. You know what I mean? So
for sure. Yeah.
And she's just so powerful with her strikes and stuff. It was just a matter of time. Like, they stopped it good, because there's no reason for her to take unnecessary damage. They could have let her go to sleep or something like that, but that's just fucking rude.
You're just taking you know what I mean? It's more time that she would have to be on a medical suspension, and it's more time, or it's more time off of her career. So
it was a good stoppage. I didn't have any problems with it. The fight wasn't going to change any. I didn't see. So
well, I think obviously Cynthia was disappointed because that is a huge step up in competition.
Yes.
I think the last really named fighter that she fought was Jessica Ai. Jessica Ai hasn't really been herself, over the last few years. But you had her fight Jessica Andrade, who just fought for the title. And Jessica, that's the thing that stinks for Jessica, is because it's like, where do you go from here? You just got absolutely dominated by Valentina, and
always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know what I mean? She's always number two.
I know
she's number two in two divisions, man.
She's she's gonna be like Joseph Benavidez, where she's gonna because except for at least Jessica actually won a title, but she lost it in her first defense, and then it's like, okay, well, I don't think she can. She's too. I think she depletes herself too much to be a consistently good fighter at strawweight. So I think flyweight is what's best for her, because she doesn't have to deplete herself so much.
Yeah.
But it was a hell of a performance by her, and I would love to see her fight Valentina again. I just don't want it to be
a rematch eventually.
Yeah, but where does she who else in that division does she fight at? Who at 125? Jennifer Maya, maybe? I don't know. Because the only person that's really worthy of fighting her is Valentina. Or Jessica's worthy of fighting Valentina.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see. And then Cynthia, I think she just needs to develop a better stand-up game. She was getting like Jessica was walking her into positions that she wanted her to be in. She was walking her right into her left hand and walking her right into those leg kicks. So
I'm wondering if there's enough females at Alpha Male for her. If is she still at Alpha Male? I believe she is, right?
I don't know. I didn't see her with any Alpha Male coaches.
Maybe she's not anymore, but I thought she was with Alpha Male for a while.
She was. I don't think she is anymore.
I'm just wondering if she hasn't moved, if she should, because she should have,
she's at
a mix of okay.
So she
I was
moved,
gonna say because like a mix of training partners, you know what I mean? Like
AKA honestly that's a good place for her to be because that suits her style. Because I mean, you look at a majority of those guys, maybe not Luke Rockhold.
She was with Alpha Male for a while though, right?
She was, yeah.
I'm not wrong. Okay.
I think she might be back and forth between both.
Okay.
But the most recent thing it said was AKA.
I mean, Alpha Male is probably good for her wrestling too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, she obviously needs to focus on her stand up at the moment.
Yeah.
And see where she goes from there. I mean, I get it that she was pretty highly ranked, but like Jessica Andrade is just a super high step for anybody. I think I just think that she's just another level below the champ, but still above everybody else. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. All right. The next fight in the heavyweight division, Curtis Blaydes versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This was another one that I kind of called how Curtis Blaydes needed to approach this fight. He needed to approach it like how he did the first round against Derek Lewis, where it's leg kicks, strike from the outside, utilize leg kicks, and get takedowns. And then the biggest difference was he didn't get caught this time like he did against Derek Lewis. But there was times where I was like, dude, if you're not careful, you're going to duck your head right into a hook or right into an uppercut. And you're going to be in the same position that you were in your last fight where you should have won and you completely screwed it up. So, I was happy with his performance. He landed, he got 3 takedowns. He had a lot of control time, like almost 6 minutes, I think, of total control time in the fight, which is almost half of the fight in and of itself. And he just looked good. I mean, it wasn't like his performance was like, oh yeah, let's give him a title shot. But, Jairzinho is no slouch. His only losses are against the guy that's the champ and the guy that's the interim champ. And Curtis Blaydes' only losses are against twice to Ngannou and 1 to Derek Lewis. So, yeah.
It was a good fight. This was the one I got wrong on this card. I went with Rozenstruik. I thought he was going to do like what Derek Lewis did and pull off a KO. Blaydes looked good. He stood up for longer than I expected him to. He kept the fight standing for longer and until he didn't, but I think he wants to prove to people that he does have hands. And I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing to try to do.
That's a terrible thing.
But like, you should
do what got you to the dance.
Yeah, and just wrestle fuck everybody if you can,
Randy Couture.
One of the only criticisms that I have of his grappling too, and this isn't like, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a fucking elite grappler or anything by any means, so it is what it is, but it's my opinion. He seems to shoot from too far out.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a shot from so far away. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you should close the distance a little better and then take your shot. And some of the shots that he didn't take, he probably should have. He was doing all these like head feints and like ducking and all this stuff. And there was one that was really, really good. And he did it, and fucking Rozenstruik like did a sprawl, but it was way delayed. And I was like, damn, dude, he should have just shot. Like, he would have got the takedown easy, like, I don't know. That's like my only criticism of him right now, is I feel like he needs to close the distance a little better to take those shots, because he does it from so far out. He's going to get caught with a knee or fucking another uppercut or something like that if he keeps doing it from that far.
Well,
because it gives him time to react.
He's gonna be that guy that it's almost gonna be like a Joseph Benavidez. Like you're like the precipice. You're like right there, but you can never capture it because you will not fix those little things that will in a big fight make the difference. Like if you think that Francis Ngannou is not gonna like that's the thing that I wish Curtis Blades would have done in his fights with Francis is actually utilize his wrestling. Instead, he wanted to like prove that he's his equal in stand up. And it's like, dude, you're gonna lose every time. He's too strong. He's too powerful.
I think he's too strong and powerful. Like I think his takedowns would be hard. I think Francis would stuff that shit right now.
Well, Francis has gotten he's a better wrestler now, but when they fought, he wasn't.
Yeah, he could have probably tried to take, because that's what Stipe was doing to him at will, basically.
Yeah.
And Curtis Blades should be a way better wrestler than Stipe is, but
yeah. But I don't know what Curtis Blades does here. He was talking about wanting to fight fucking Ngannou again and wanting to talk, he talked about wanting to fight the winner of the title fight or
winner or loser or whatever.
He didn't give a shit. And then or Stipe or John Jones. I'm like, bro, first off, why the fuck are you? John Jones should not be in your mouth. John Jones, he shouldn't be in anybody's mouth right now. That motherfucker just lost all the leverage that he had with the UFC. He's gonna have to you thought that you were supposed to be fighting for millions and millions of dollars. You'll be lucky to get a fight in the UFC again.
I told you guys on the last pay-per-view, I have a feeling this fight's not going to happen.
Like you're like, I think it's going to fall through.
I feel it in my plums.
Feel it deep down in my plums.
It's just one of those things, dude. Like when it comes down to these big opportunities and big things, John Jones finds a way to fuck it up. You know what I mean? I don't understand why, but that's just what happens. So
yeah,
maybe it still will happen. Maybe, who knows? But
yeah. In the middleweight division, the next fight was, that throwback fight, Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz 2. Nick Diaz all week, I was just concerned with his demeanor, his behavior, his interviews. It didn't seem like he wanted to be there. And dude, from the start of the fight, I was like, right at the beginning, Nick Diaz threw that fucking spinning roundhouse kick. I was like, what the fuck was that? It completely whiffed. And then for the first 45 seconds proceeded to get his ass kicked. And I was thinking like, dude, he's quitting. Like he came to collect a paycheck and that's it. And then after that, he, him and Robbie went at it. If you look at,
after that, I think he won the first 2 rounds.
I do too. I was like, holy shit. But Robbie's, he was the guy who he was losing that fight against Rory McDonald too, the second fight. And he just kept coming forward and finished him. But I wanted to see what the fight stats were because they both threw a lot of strikes.
They said the stats went down.
Yeah.
I was listening to the thing and they're like, our stats are down. I wanted to know how many strikes were thrown and they couldn't tell anybody.
So
it's horseshit.
Nick Diaz threw he landed 150 strikes. All of those were significant strikes. 339 total strikes thrown for Nick in his first fight back in 209 months. Robbie was 131 for 221. So his striking percentage was a lot better, but still, the fact that Nick threw that many strikes in his first fight back, it's like, there were punches and bunches. It wasn't like he was throwing, the barn at him. He was just doing what Nick and Nate both do, It was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was nice to see Nick back, but I don't want to see him back anymore. He doesn't have it. He doesn't want to be there. So, even if he were to go in there against Usman, he would have gotten finished in the first round.
Yeah.
Usman would have put him away in the first round. And it's like, he's like, I shouldn't even be fighting Robbie. I already beat him. And it's like, bro, you think you should be fighting Usman? You talk about entitled. Well, all right.
Yeah. It was fun. Don't get me wrong. Diaz didn't look good at first, and then he did look good.
Yeah.
And then it didn't look good again.
Yeah, pretty much.
I thought he blew out his knee, man. Like,
that's
he got
exactly
down,
what I thought.
He reached for his knee and shit like that, and I thought he was done. And then it just turns out that he just kind of fucking gave up. I was like, oh.
Well, that's the one thing that's like, I was like, I don't know if he blew his knee out or what happened. And then it's like, I think he was gonna use that as like an excuse. I honestly, in the back of his mind, he was like, "No, I fucking hurt my knee." But then he was like, "No, I'm not. That's a bitch move. I'm not gonna do that." And then he was just like, "Yeah."
I mean, I think maybe this one out of the way. Give him one more if he wants it. See what happens. But also, it's a little scary to give him more when Lawler, I think, is not even in the top 15 right now.
No.
So
I think he fell out of the rankings like two or three fights ago.
I mean, you just got TKO'd by a guy that's not even in the top 15. I mean, yeah, it was a long layoff and you just came back, but it's kind of up to him, man. Did he get the butterflies out of his stomach and all that shit, and he's got the motivation to come back and get back to it? Or was that like nah, this ain't for me, fucking I quit kind of moment? Like,
yeah,
there's two things that could have happened there. Like, hey, I need to come back and take this seriously. I'll get mine next time. Or was that this shit ain't for me no more?
I think he's realized like, oh shit, I've been gone for 6 years and this is a young man's game, not for this shit ain't for me.
I'm hoping he's smart enough to realize the game has evolved and maybe it's time to just fucking.
As soon as he started getting hit with those leg kicks, I'm pretty sure he realized, oh shit, this game's evolved. Like,
calf kicks. What the fuck are these?
Yeah, like, oh, you mean these things that everybody's doing now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want him to fight anymore. Nate, I almost don't even want Nate to fight anymore either, because it's like the dude's never gonna win a title. He's never gonna win a title.
No.
So why keep doing it? And I mean, obviously, you're doing it to be the best. You're doing it to win the title. But I guess if you're having fun too, like if you're having fun and you're making money, cool. But there's got to be some other thing. Nate's got all kinds of fucking money, I'm sure, from his fights with Conor. Yeah. And I'm sure that all of his investments in the cannabis industry, I'm sure those are paying nicely as well. So
it's just it's one of those things where Nate has to figure out what he wants, because at this point he's got to sit out for Conor, or he's got to actually make one more fight and win it against somebody, so that if Dustin wins that title, they can get the fight that they keep talking shit about. You know what I mean? They keep going.
I'd love to see him versus Dustin.
I think it'd be good, but that's the only way it's going to happen. I don't know that he can sit out any longer and fucking expect a title shot if he wins the belt, because you got Justin Gaethje and Chandler there, and then you got Beneil or fucking Hooker or somebody else. You know what I mean? Maybe after the Chandler fight, they can just be like, you know what? We're going to kind of push Beneil away to the side if he wins or whatever, and let Diaz do his thing. But just because they'd get way more pay-per-view buys and all that other shit, he's got that opportunity. But if he sits out for too long, that opportunity might pass him by, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that to happen, really. I'd like to see that fight. So
me too.
You can't give it to him over Chandler or Gaethje, in my opinion. Like, that's just a fucking crime.
Well, Justin Gaethje just signed a new deal.
Yeah.
And he just got back on good terms with the UFC. And I hope that the UFC doesn't go back on and do some sly shit.
Screw him again.
Yeah. The co-main we basically talked about already.
Yeah.
Between Lauren Murphy and Valentina Shevchenko. It was a good fight for Valentina. Lauren, the biggest thing for her, she survived. She survived into the fourth. And I was cheering for Lauren to win. Obviously, I picked Valentina to win, but I wanted Lauren to win because she's Alaskan. And that's the ultimate underdog story. Someone who's a, plus $1,700 underdog. It's like, holy fuck, dude. Like, nobody thinks you stand a chance.
This could be the biggest upset of all time.
Yeah. And then, Jessica Andrade just got beat by her in the first round by Valentina. So I was thinking, like, if this is a finish, it's probably going to be very early, like within the first half of the first round. But Lauren Murphy, she came out on Instagram today. I think she made a Facebook post and Twitter post as well, basically saying the same thing. That was just like, I just like could not get anything together. Like, I was like, my shit was not working. Like, it just that, and obviously Valentina is just that great of a fighter.
Yeah.
And she was very respectful and humble in defeat. And, obviously I hope that she can fight out the rest of her contract. And then, at that point, I think she'll be in 39, almost 40 years old. And it's like, there's got to be something else for you to do. I don't think that anything's going to change, because if she goes to 135, like, she's too muscular. She would never make 115.
I don't think so, no.
So
she's a bigger girl too. Like, she's tall,
The only thing you would be able to do is go up to 135, and then you've got Amanda Nunes there. And I'd rather take the surviving in within 4 rounds of Valentina than getting my head kicked off my head or head kicked off my shoulders by Amanda.
Yeah.
And within the first round. So it is the way it is. Right now Valentina is just leaps and bounds above everybody else, just like Amanda Nunes is in 135 and 145. So
honestly, it's like, it's one of those things, man. Like, they've already fought before, but it's like that's pretty much the only fight that they can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we've seen it. It's happened twice already.
Yeah. So, one was a split decision, which I thought Valentina won. And then the other one was, I think, a unanimous decision for Amanda.
Yeah. And did it happen once before the UFC too, or no?
No, but you keep thinking that it's.
Yeah, I don't know.
She fought Joanna Jacek.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She fought her twice in the UFC and then once in kickboxing.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so like at that point though, like, all right, so it's happened twice already. You lost both, but like, let's be real. You guys are the only people to go 5 rounds together. Maybe we should do it again.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking ridiculous. So I don't know, man. It's a wild thing. They're just so much better than everybody else on that roster. It's insane.
Yeah, dude, I keep yawning. I'm fucking tired.
I'm tired too, brother.
I guess we can jump to the main event, because we already went pretty in depth earlier.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the episode about Lauren Murphy and Valentina Shevchenko. The main event, Brian Ortega and Alexander Volkanovski. Wow.
Instant classic.
Dude, one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. Through 2 rounds. I guess all 5 rounds I had Volkanovski win. I had 10-9 for Volkanovski. The 3rd round was one of the greatest rounds I've ever seen between 2 fighters, because at one point Volkanovski was piecing him up, and then gets, he slips, and then Brian Ortega jumps into a guillotine on top, in top position, and locks it in. And you could see him, like, in his eyes, the panic in his eyes, and his legs start fucking kicking, because that's how you know how tight that motherfucker is. And then gets out of it, and then gets put in a darce, and then gets out of it, and then gets put in a fucking triangle and gets out of it. You and I, while we were watching this, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Get out of there. Stand up with him. Stop trying to own him on the ground.
But made for some exciting shit, but it was so frustrating to watch.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I don't want to be down there that's like, a striker trying to go to the ground with fucking Damian Maia.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And for me, and then the remainder of the 3rd round, Brian Ortega, is in guard, and then Alexander Volkanovski stands up and then just starts raining down shots on him. And I honestly thought they were going to stop the fight. It was insane. The turn of events in that one round alone was nuts. And the fact that Brian Ortega was able to, get up off the stool, answer like, yeah, I can continue to fight. I'm fine. And then the same thing in the fourth, at the end of the fourth round, after the break, the 1 minute break in between rounds, he still, was getting his ass kicked, and he still went out there and was trying to finish. He the last minute of the fifth round, he was still throwing very powerful shots. And the last 30 seconds, he landed some pretty good shots. So hell of a fight. They put on a show. I think the worst part of that whole fight was him coming out in the goddamn purge mask. Yeah. Brian Ortega, I was like, what is this shit? I was like, anybody who wants to come out to a purge mask with purge masks on to the purge theme is probably not going to do very good. It's like, those movies suck. But at the same time, whatever, you do you, bro. You still put on a hell of a show. And I mean, Volkanovski looked beat the fuck up too. Ortega looked beat up, but so did Orlovsky. So did Volkanovski. Yeah.
Yeah, that fight was exciting as shit the entire time. There was not a boring second of that fight. That's 2 title fights that Brian Ortega has got the living shit kicked out of him. So, I mean, he went back to the drawing board and came back with some better striking for sure. Mm-hmm. But he needs to go back again. And I think this time his striking isn't terrible. His grappling is fucking phenomenal. But I think he's got to wrestle. He's got to go back and wrestle his fucking ass off, because if that dude discovers the double leg, people are fucked.
Yeah.
Because the moment he could actually take people down, it's going to be a problem for everyone. But at this point, he doesn't do it. You know what I mean?
The problem is that his stand-up has gotten so much better that I think that's why he wants to strike and he wants to do jiu-jitsu, but I don't think he wants to
rock you and then finish you with a submission or something like that.
He knocked the fuck out of Frankie Edgar. He was the first person to finish Frankie Edgar. I'm almost certain. And then he look what he did to the Korean Zombie.
Yeah.
The motherfucker was throwing spinning back elbows and shit. And it's like, God damn, where'd this come from? You're a jiu-jitsu guy, right?
Yeah. His stand-up is good. His fucking his jiu-jitsu is insane. His wrestling needs to catch up, and if he does that, he's gonna be a fucking monster. I mean, he already is, but I mean, he'll be insane. So that's what I see from the fight, taking place. Volkanovski, I don't think there's anything much you can correct from that dude besides, if you got an advantage everywhere else, just don't go into theirs. I know it's a moral victory or whatever. Like, I went to the ground with this motherfucker and got out. Bitch, he was almost gone.
Yeah. Well, he even said, he was like, holy, like in his press conference, he said that it was like, fuck, I'm gonna lose my belt deep. That's how bad.
I saw that. I saw that too. He's like, they're like, so how tight was it? He's like, it was fuck, I'm about to lose my belt deep. That's how tight it was. Yeah. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's
scary shit.
And had that happened in the first round, he would have lost.
Yeah.
Like, had their arms not been tired and had sustained damage,
sweaty and fucking bloody, and
his ass would have gone to sleep.
Yeah.
So,
and it's crazy too, because that's got to be one of the most, like, he's lucky he didn't get finished, because that would have been one of the most iconic pictures of all time, is like a still frame of Volkanovski in the triangle choke, and he's staring at fucking Brian Ortega in the eyes, and they're just bulging out of his head. Like, if he got finished right there, dude, that would have been a sick picture, dude. But he didn't get finished.
Oh, they got a picture. That's
the dude, the dude has got no quit in him at all, though. You know what I mean? Neither one of them did. That's what made the fight so great. But Volkanovski stuck with some of those, like, got out of some of those submissions that would have finished 90% of people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, props to that motherfucker too. You know what I mean? He's a savage himself.
Yeah. I think, for me, I'm a diehard Max Holloway fan. So, and I think Max Holloway is the GOAT in the featherweight division. So I didn't have a whole lot of respect for Volkanovski because and it's not his fault that the judges scored the fight in his favor in that second fight with Max. That's not his fault. He doesn't get to control that. But I still felt like Max won that fight. But watching that fight last night and the amount of danger that he put Brian in and the amount of danger that he was in, and he was able to withstand it, it's like he's a true champ. Yeah. Like I've got nothing but respect. I will not talk bad about him because he's just he's a stud. He's an absolute stud. And I think for everybody, they got to see a side of both guys last night that will make you respect them no matter what. Yeah. Because they both were in rough shape at one point.
Yeah, because I'm not a huge fan of Brian Ortega, but after watching that fight, I'm like, I respect the motherfucker hard as shit, though. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
big time.
And Volkanovski might be the luckiest man that he couldn't get a haircut during fucking COVID, so he shaved his head because that might have helped him get out of some of those submissions.
Yeah,
seriously. Bald ass head, like
he just fucking slips right off.
It might have been the luckiest thing he did. Hey, there you go.
You do you, bud. You do you. I just shaved my head.
He's like, I couldn't get a haircut or whatever, my barber or whatever. So he's like, I shaved my head, but nobody remembers your heroes when they had hair. Look at The Rock. Look at these guys.
Yeah, like, seriously.
He's like, all right, man, this is it. Like, I'm just gonna own it.
Yeah, it was a great fight. And another thing that I respected about Volkanovski was he was like, he's like, I've got nothing but respect for Max Holloway because Max Holloway is going to fight Yair Rodriguez, and he doesn't even have to. And he doesn't have to. He wants to solidify that he's the true number one.
That's the kind of champ he is, you know. Yeah, that guy's a fucking respectable human being. So
yeah, and that's what makes, like, obviously
because he could fight him. He could fight him next. Yeah. He doesn't even have to fight Yair.
And I enjoy shit talk because the drama that's built up is always fun.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's also nice when there's two guys that just respect each other and they go out there and they just put it on the line. Like,
yeah, it's going to be a fucking war because
no matter
these guys
what,
are like, dude, this is it. Like, I'm going to go for it. You're going to go for it. Like, I know I'm getting the best of you. You know, you're going to get the best of me. Let's fucking go. Like, for sure. I like that shit just as much as I like people talking shit. You know what I mean? When they respect somebody so much and then like, it's basically like an agreement. I'm going to give you my all, bro, because I respect you so fucking much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm taking this shit serious as fuck. Like, so you better be too.
Yeah. And that'll be exciting. Excuse me. That'll be exciting when it does happen because I really feel like that's the next fight to make. And and obviously Max is risking a lot because Yair is dangerous, but we'll see what it's like come November when they do fight. I think November 13th is when they're scheduled to fight. Yeah. So should be good.
The only thing I don't like about this is now we're going to have a longer wait for that fight. If he does win, because unless Max just goes out there and completely annihilates Yair.
Well, we've seen Yair get dominated by guys before. Like, I mean, he got his ass whooped by Frankie Edgar.
Yeah. So, I mean, the odds are that it could happen, but it's one of those things that, like, after that fucking fight, he's already going to have a long layoff. You know that, because that was a
it's going to be, it's probably going to be a 6-month suspension. So motherfucker was at the Raiders game today with Dan Hooker.
And doing shoeies and shit at the fucking press conference.
Yeah.
He's like, I ain't a spitter though. I ain't gonna spit in this shit.
Yeah. Ugh. Shoes are fucking gross.
I'd do one for the culture, brother, but I wouldn't enjoy it.
No spit. No spit.
I mean,
spit, dude.
If I fucking had to, I would, but I wouldn't enjoy it. Nope. I'll tell you that. I'd go like this.
Yeah.
like I got a little piece of dip on my tongue and I gotta get it off. I ain't hawking a fucking loogie in that shit.
Yeah. Ugh. God, that just makes me sick thinking about it. So the next the fight night card this next Saturday. This is actually a pretty good fight card for a fight night.
I like the main event. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen much of the other fights yet, but I've seen the main event and I thought the main event was exciting.
So obviously in the lightweight division, we got Alexander Hernandez versus Mike Breeden, and Alexander Hernandez. Obviously, he's out. His biggest win is he knocked the fuck out of Beneil Dariush a couple years back, but then he talked a whole lot of shit about Cowboy and then proceeded to get dominated by Cowboy. In the women's bantamweight division, Aspen Ladd versus Macy Chiasson or Chiasson. I'm gonna say it's Chiasson because I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Aspen Ladd's a stud. I think she's ranked number 3 in the bantamweight division.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Macy. I don't think I've ever seen 11.
Yeah.
Why is the number 3 fighting the number 11? Right, that might just be the only fight to do.
Yeah.
In the middleweight division, Misha Serkinov versus Krzysztof Jotko. That should be a good fight. Welterweight, Alex Cowboy Oliveira versus Nico Price.
Is this a rematch?
No, Alex. I don't think so. No, Nico Price.
No. He just fought. Yeah. And that's the one we said should be fucking exciting because they're both. And then it was like
and it was a complete snooze fest. And they were both like 75K, baby, 75K. Yeah. And I was like, that fight sucked. That was not even a good fight. Middleweight division, the co-main, Kevin Holland versus Kyle Daukaus.
Okay, I like this fight because I think Kevin Holland should take a step back a little bit and fucking improve his game.
Yeah, except Kyle, his brother fought last night. He was the heavyweight that got the knockout win.
Yeah.
Against the big Russian cat in the prelims. And I think Kyle's a good wrestler, and Kevin Holland is a terrible wrestler.
Yeah.
He went to American.
But this is a good test,
Yeah, he went to AKA and then left because there was a guy there that he was like, yeah, I'm probably going to have to fight that guy at some point, and I don't want to be here. It's like, okay. And then
that's a little upsetting to hear because I thought he was there training with DC and all that shit for a while. And fucking,
he left after like a week.
Oh, okay. Well, that hurts my heart.
A week or two. And then in the light heavyweight division, Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker. I'm intrigued by this main event, but I honestly think Thiago Santos should dominate this fight. Corey Anderson knocked out Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Thiago Santos is way more dangerous than Corey Anderson.
Yes.
So it's cool because both guys are entertaining, but I feel like this should be an easy fight for Thiago Santos.
I think that all signs should point to Thiago Santos winning this. Mm-hmm. He's got too much power and he's just fucking nasty. But Johnny Walker, if he's on, is really fucking good. You know what I mean? But the problem is after his little shoulder injury, he hasn't been the same guy. And I'm hoping that that those days are behind him. That's what I'm hoping.
Screwing around and flopping on the fucking ground like a moron.
Well, not just that, but hopefully he knows what his body is capable of at this point, and that it's not like a weak thing. Because I feel like after that injury, he was gun shy about throwing with his arm and shit too. I don't know if he was fully healed or if he did a rehab or what the hell he did, but maybe he didn't do it seriously, and that's what led to him getting fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that some of that stuff is behind him and he's got his confidence and that he can come out here and put on a show, because I think if he fights this fight smart, that he can win this. It's going to be a tall task, but I think he does have the chance to do it if he fights how he can fight and stay away from Thiago's power. But that's a big ask because Thiago's got a lot of that shit. So
yeah.
And it's not just his power. He's fucking good too. You know what
I mean? I think Thiago's just dangerous in general.
Yeah.
Just all around dangerous. I mean, he with a blown out knee, he still put it on John Jones.
Yeah.
I thought that was I thought he might have won that fight against John Jones.
I think at this point, if you don't finish him, he's another fighter that's proved that he's got what it takes to keep going when he's fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you got to put his lights out, or he's still gonna be fucking dangerous and come at you. So that's like I said, it's gonna be a tough fight for Walker. But I mean, he does have the opportunity to do it. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting card next week. Obviously, we'll put an episode out, and hopefully Jeffrey will be here. Obviously, we haven't heard anything from Jeffrey, so I'm sure he just got caught up with the baby or something, and
I'm sure
wasn't able to make it. So, I don't have anything else to add, buddy. I think
me either, man.
That's it for me.
Kind of a short and sweet episode. I think it's a good one.
Well, it's just a quick recap.
Just a little recap. So,
and it wasn't really quick either. It was still like an hour.
Yeah.
Again, everybody on YouTube, please make sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment on our videos, and we'll make sure to respond. Check out our Facebook page, which again is Lay and Pray MMA Podcast. Same as our YouTube, same as our
Twitter.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. We have a Twitter. Don't follow us on Instagram. That got hacked.
Unless you want to hang out
with Dr. Hong in South Korea and his cat and the woman that he's doing, an evaluation on.
Or something. I don't know.
And then check us out on podcast platform too. If you listen to podcasts, you're on the go. Make sure to find us on we're on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Breaker. There's so many different platforms that we're on that you can find us on. I don't have anything else, but
nope, I think that's it.
All right. We'll hopefully have another episode out here in the next few days, probably Wednesday or Thursday. So that's gonna do it for us, guys. Hope everybody has a wonderful night. Till next time.
See you later.
All right. See you, bud.